So let me show you what I got going on here real quick. Not sure you can quite tell, but see all this light within the canopy and the Spanish moss is just catching, and it's just absolutely beautiful. Here just a minute ago, it was like purple, magenta, a little bit of reds. Now it's getting into the oranges, into the yellows. It's beautiful. Let me show you this moss. Absolutely beautiful moss all up in these trees. Gorgeous. It's nothing that I'm used to, so, and just how it catches the light. It's just these shots work out. Here are the shots. And this scene, as you just saw, with the orange light just being cast into that Spanish moss, was absolutely beautiful and gorgeous. It reminds me a lot of the fall colors that had just passed, and it made me feel like fall and autumn was still trying to hang on, even though it was well past peak colors. It was a little bit hard to photograph, but I liked it nonetheless. And now, this next scene, I really enjoyed it because it really makes you feel in the environment with the overarching tree trunks and branches just towering over you, feeling like you're in a little bit of a cave. This one, again, was a little bit difficult to photograph due to the high dynamic range, but I did a 5 exposure bracket, which seems to really have captured all the information. So I decided to swap over to the wildlife camera, away from landscape because the light just got too harsh. And now all the birds are waking up and getting out and starting to feed. And I saw my very first cardinal, a male cardinal, bright red colors, mating colors, I believe. I've never seen a cardinal before. We don't have those. We didn't have those in Washington, so. Now this cardinal was just egging me on, did not want to sit still. I had maybe 5 seconds with him total to where he sat still and didn't flutter away. And this image, I really enjoyed it, even though he is sitting on a branch, that infamous bird on a stick. But my first cardinal ever in the wild, it was a beautiful sight for me to experience, and I will never forget this one. Now, as I was walking along between open plains and swampy marshes, I came across this scene. And to me, just how the light is caught within the Spanish moss and it reflecting in the pooled water, the canal, is just absolutely beautiful and just caught my eye as I walked up on it. And I wouldn't have been able to capture this if it wasn't for this time of day. Now, this little tricolored heron, it was so much fun to watch. This was the only time, unfortunately, that I got to witness him hunting. Yes, it seemed like he was successful, but he had such a large audience just watching him, waiting for him to find something to eat in the marsh. And even though I didn't capture an image of him having a quick little snack, it was still a great moment for me with that dapple lighting on his side, just lighting him up with the ferns and the moss. And I just really enjoyed this image. Now, as I came across a bend, I first came across a great blue heron, and I thought, let's take a photo of him. But what I didn't realize going on behind me, as somebody was so kindly to point out, there was a little raccoon. And I was not expecting a raccoon, but according to them, it was well known to, inhabit that area. And I couldn't quite get an image of him the first time he came out of the brush. And then I just quietly waited, and then he came back out and walked down the trail to where I could actually capture an image of him. And he wasn't the healthiest looking raccoon, but this image did turn out and I really enjoyed it. But it just goes to show that you always gotta keep your head on a swivel, keep your eyes about you, and just, you never know what Mother Nature is gonna hold and just her bountiful opportunities. And I just really hope that next time I get to have even more time hanging out with this beautiful raccoon. So I came across this oak glen, and absolutely gorgeous. You can see these holes dug in the ground. From my understanding, that's from wild pigs. So see if you come across any. But I love just how like there's just enough shading from the oak trees, well, caused by the oak trees, provided by the oak trees, to create this dapple lighting here, like in this like little walk. So I'm keeping my eye out for compositions that I like, because I could absolutely do a landscape shot in here. I'm not sure how, the dynamic range might be a little high, so I might have to do an exposure bracket. But yeah, now it's a matter of finding a composition that I like and going from there. I'm also keeping my eye out for owls, because this is exactly what they would be using to roost in. Don't think I'll see any, but you never know. And as it would happen, just my luck, I came across the wild pig. There were about 3 piglets, but only really got eyes on one as I was standing there trying to figure out what type of landscape scene I wanted to photograph. I heard and noticed that the grass was moving in 3 different spots. I didn't hear any grunting or other. But as I patiently waited and threw on my telephoto lens, this little guy came tromping through the brush, just enough to where I got a quick glimpse of him before he ran off. And then this is one of the scenes that I really enjoyed walking through that oak glen. It's just as the oak trees would just come arching over into the scene, and it just really added some character to it. And you can't forget that the texture of the Spanish moss and the bark on those trees was just fantastic, and I loved it, even though it was such a high dynamic scene. I ended up taking another 5-image exposure bracket. Now, normally I wouldn't want to include the trail into the scene, but I really felt that it added some depth and dimension into the image, and it allowed you to feel like you're on the trail, you're inside this environment, and you're walking through these trees and getting to experience them for yourself. And I just really enjoyed having that trail be part of the image. It's a little bit different, but I think it works. As I was walking along the trail, I came across a couple of people that informed me that there was a mama gator in the water just up ahead. And as you know it, there she was. But what I wasn't expecting is a little baby gator to float out of the fronds and onto its mother's back. That was just glorious, and I was not expecting it whatsoever, and it sat there for just a second for me to capture this beautiful image of it sitting along the ridges of its mother's back, just basking in the sun. But just having that few moments with this little baby alligator and its mama really made you feel that you weren't afraid. You didn't need to be afraid and didn't need to be cautious or wary of the alligator, even though you're damn right. Even though you damn well sure still had to be cautious and wary.